Hi, my name is Gri, and I know by the title you're probably like, dang, that girl crazy or whatever. She's probably brainwashed or got Stockholm syndrome or whatever, but I don't. So let me explain myself. So, one, I follow God. Disclaimer, and if you don't agree, still listen, please, because this is an amazing thing that changed my life. Like, changed my whole life for the better. Like I said, I follow God and I follow the Bible. And if you say that you follow God but don't follow everything in the Bible, that's a whole different conversation. I have never followed the Bible when I didn't want to. Like, let's say I'm like, I don't want to do it. And I still did it. I never regretted it. Ever, right? So let's start. Why do I submit to my husband? First of all, submission and control, not the same thing. In the world, submission is made into a term that is so like intense. They think by like having a relationship where someone's dominant and someone's submissive, it's like whoever's dominant is like a controlling and they're a dictator and they're abusive, and then whoever's submitting is like, oh my gosh, you're being controlled, you're being brainwashed, like all of this crazy stuff. That is not the case. I'm going to start with 1 Peter 3:7. Husbands, live with your wives in an understanding way, showing honor to the woman as the weaker vessel, since they are heirs with you to the grace of life, so that your prayers may not be hindered. So, me submitting is my role as a woman. Biologically, women are weaker than men. That doesn't mean that men can't be weak and that women can't be strong. Biologically, men are stronger than women. So here it is saying that Daniel has a role to play also. Daniel's my husband. I'm submitting to him, but he's living with me in an understanding way. So he's being understanding of me and everything that he does and being considerate. He's showing me love in everything that he's doing and showing me honor. And the job of a husband, that he's supposed to lead the family and protect us and provide for us and all of these amazing things, and that he's supposed to love us like Christ loved the church and Jesus died for the church, right? So that's an intense love. So Ephesians 5:28, in the same way, husbands, you should love your wife as your own body, and he who loves his wife loves himself. So a lot of the time, men are confident, right? They love themselves so much, right? One of the things when you come to Christ that men struggle to be broken down from is pride, and women struggle with control. That's just like the most annoying thing, because men are supposed to be humble, and the devil comes at an early age to come and break that down. Women are supposed to submit to their husbands and listen to them, and so the devil comes at an early age and tries to make us control. Just like Daniel loves himself, he's supposed to love me the same. So not just, hey, I love you, but with his actions also. So just like he's making sure that he's clean, he's got to make sure that I'm clean, or whatever it is, right? So the job of a husband is a lot. Like, he has to be our leader financially, spiritually, physically, right? If somebody comes at our door in the middle of the night, I'm taking the kids, and he's saying hello to the person in the front door with a gun, because he's stronger, he's a provider, he's a protector. Like, that's just what comes naturally. So with me, the reason that I submit is because I'm submitting as unto the Lord, right? I'm not submitting because Daniel's a great husband or because of anything like that, but because God uses him to work in me, and because Daniel is so good and that he follows his role as a husband, it makes it a lot easier to submit, right? So sometimes I don't want to. Let's say I just get all comfy in bed, and then he's like, hey, can you get me a cup of water? I'm like, dang, whatever, I'll get him a cup of water, right? That's like a perfect example. And him leading me and me submitting to him doesn't mean that I don't have any say. So for example, that I want to go to a fancy restaurant, but he wants to go to like a fast food restaurant. I can put my point of view out there. I could be like, oh, but look at this fancy restaurant. And he's like, okay, but look at this fast food joint. If we can't come to an agreement, if we can't meet in the middle ground, he's the one that's leading. Same thing with the children. Even though I'm the mom and I usually know more, if he's like, hey, whenever she gets in trouble, don't coddle her because I need her to learn that stuff is wrong, I'm like, you know what? You're actually right. That's true. Because he's leading the whole house, and that's a lot of responsibility. So why not make it easier for me to let him be the man of the house and stop trying to be the man of the house when he's the man, because he's one with me. So just like I'm gonna listen to myself, I'm gonna listen to him. And I know some of y'all be like, dang, I would submit to my husband if he was like that, if he was considerate, and if he was loving, and if he was this and that. Daniel wasn't always like that, right? When we first got married, I was kind of like the leader, and he just listened. And we would bump heads a lot, we would argue a lot, and it'd be pretty nasty. Once I started getting into my word, and my spiritual leader, my woman leader, she was just like, you know, the Bible's literal. You have to submit to your husband. If he's not telling you to sin, like if he's not telling me like go smoke weed or go kill this person for me, you have to do what he's saying. So if he's asking you to mow lawns with him. I'm like, dang. I didn't want to do it, but I started doing it as unto the Lord, like as if Jesus Christ himself was here telling me to do these things. And I saw Daniel change because I changed. I did my part. So God already worked in me, and now all that was left was working on him, right? So then that's when he started being more considerate and more loving and more gentle and all of these amazing things that a man is supposed to do, right? To not be harsh with his wife and all of these amazing things. Automatically, a lot of us be like, oh, well, I'm only going to do it if he does it. One person has to put on their big boy pants or big girl pants and just do the right thing, period. Or some of you men would be like, yeah, I would love to like be honorable and lead my wife and all of this stuff if she was being submissive. You have to be the one that's doing it. I'm telling you, if you're doing the right thing, God has no choice but to check the other person, because you guys are one. So that's an amazing thing. So you can repent for that person, you can cover them in the spirit, and you can just let God work. Even in the world, I would try to change Daniel and he would not change. I don't know what I was thinking that I kept doing it, kept trying to control him and telling all these things. And once I backed up, I'm like, you know what? Whatever you want, whatever. God started working in him. God started showing him, hey, look, you're not leading your wife in the way that she should be going. Hey, look, you're not being considerate of her. Hey, you're not loving her in this way. Hey, you're not this and you're not that. Once I let God work in me, God had no choice but to do that. Submission is learning to duck so God can hit your husband. That is what keeps me going. When I don't want to submit, or when I don't want to listen to him or whatever, I still do it because I'm like, you know what? I'm doing the right thing because I don't want God to check me. I don't want to get in trouble. So I want him to check him. Before we're husband and wife, we're still brothers and sisters, right? So I can tell on his dad, I mean, like, God, go check your son. Check your son. And he does the same thing with me. God, go check your daughter. So that's why I submit to him, because the word of God says to. And biologically speaking, you know, women are feminine and men are masculine. We try to go against that and all of this stuff, and things don't work out, right? We wonder. I'm gonna do my job as a wife, and he's doing his job as a husband, so it works out perfect. You know, we still have our disagreements, we still have our arguments, but at the end of the day, I'm doing what I'm supposed to do, and he's doing what he's supposed to do. So if I'm out of line and he's still doing the right thing, God's gonna tell me, hey, you were doing the wrong thing here, and I'm like, dang. And vice versa. If I'm like, God, I'm reading the scriptures right now, I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing, so go get your son. And then he gives him a bow like he's supposed to. And you're supposed to come to God boldly like that. You know, if you read Psalms, David wasn't like, Sir Lord, if I please ask you, like, he's like, God, where the heck are you? Where are you? It seems like you're blessing my enemies and I'm just here in the dumps. What's going on? That's how you're supposed to talk to God. Number 2, why do I put my husband before my daughter? So one of the stupidest things that I hear is like, oh, so you're gonna feed your husband before you feed your kids? They eat at the same time. And I mean, like, bruh, even if that's just a saying, me and my husband are one in the flesh. Therefore, a man shall leave his father and his mother and hold fast to his wife, and the two become one flesh. So they are no longer two, but one flesh. And what therefore God has joined together, let no man separate. We are one. Like, I'm no longer, like, yes, I'm an individual, I have my likes and my whatevers, right? And our walk with God is still individual. We're still seeking God individually. But I have to be thinking about him. Like, I can't just do whatever I want anymore. I have to be considerate of him. And same thing with Daniel. He's considerate of me in everything that he does. He's not just gonna go with his homeboys and play basketball till 4 a.m. because he has a wife and a daughter waiting for him at home. And just like I'm not gonna go and go with Salem and take a trip to Tennessee because I have a husband, like, it's the same thing, right? We're one. Everything that we do, we're moving the same, right? Because we're both searching for God, we're both following the Bible, so we're in one mind, one spirit, and it says that we become one in the flesh. I can only take care of my kids if I'm taken care of. Like, I'm eating... Hold up. Like, if I'm eating horrible and I'm not working out and I'm always getting sick, I can't take care of my daughter to the best of my ability. And because Daniel is one with me, I'm going to make sure that he's taken care of. He's going to be making sure that I'm taken care of, that we're loving each other, that we're feeding into each other and pouring into each other. So now that we have the proper base, the proper foundation, we can take care of our children, our daughter, to the best of our ability, because I'm healthy and we have a loving relationship. If I'm putting somebody else first, if I'm putting my daughter first, I'm denying myself. And if you're not Christian or whatever, if I'm putting my daughter first and leaving my relationship to the last thing, our marriage, right? The person that I decided, that I chose to be with for the rest of my life, to create and have children with, if I'm leaving them last, bro, kids are not dumb. They can tell that their parents don't love each other. They can tell that their parents are having arguments. They can see it, you know? And if I'm not pouring into him, he's not pouring into me, we're both gonna be like empty, and we're gonna just be trying to take care of her when there's something wrong. Because we're one in the flesh, and I'm supposed to be putting myself before I put her, it's the same thing, right? Because if I'm not taken care of, she cannot be taken care of to the best of my ability, because I'm not right. Me and him are one. We're one. So that does not mean that I put food on his plate and I let him eat as much as he wants and then let our daughter starve. That's not the case. That doesn't mean that I let him hit her and abuse her and all of these crazy things, because like I said, I submit to God before I submit to man. Bruh. Because we follow God, we're not going to allow sin to happen, right? If she's getting hurt physically, emotionally, or whatever it is, and it doesn't align with the Bible, I'm not allowing that to happen, and neither is he, right? If I was doing all of these wrong things or teaching her things that I'm not supposed to be teaching her, like, he has the full right to put her before me in that instance, if that makes sense. Like, my husband is amazing. I love him. He's an amazing father. He's present. That right now he's working. He works like 12 hours a day. All the time, he doesn't stop working. And I can be here at home taking care of her full time. All the time I could be with her, pouring into her, teaching her songs and singing and dancing with her and coloring with her and teaching her things. If I did not value her and if I did not make her a priority, why would I do that? Why would he do that? Like, why would he, like, he could easily be like, go get a job that makes you $40,000 a year, put her in a daycare because we want more money for ourselves so we can go on vacations and then we can figure out what to do with her. That's not the case. He's working so that I'm able to sit here and take care of our daughter and raise her up in the way that she should go. We value her. We take care of her to the best that we can, but we can't do that if we're not taken care of. Not like Salem flew down the stairs and then he's like, no, actually leave her there and rub my feet. Like, I'm gonna run to her. Like, of course. A lot of the time people think that it's like, oh no, I'm putting my kids before my spouse. I don't care because they're mine. I got blood with them and this and that. Like, they think that it's like some kind of abusive thing, right? That I'm gonna like go on a date with my husband and then leave Salem here with a pizza. Like, bruh, like, that is not the case at all whatsoever. Like, literally whatsoever. Mothers, you are supposed to make yourself a priority and put yourself before your child, and meaning that you have to make sure that you're eating food and you have to make sure that the food that you're eating is good. You have to be making sure that you're healthy, because if you're getting sick, your child can't take care of you unless they're like a teenager or whatever. For me, she's a toddler. She can't take care of me when I'm sick. She can't take care of me. So if I need to put myself first, me and my husband are one. Just like I'm putting myself first, making sure that I'm taken care of, he is me. We are one. One in the flesh. Biblically speaking, we are one. So just like I have to make myself the priority, I have to put myself before her so that I can take care of her to the best of my ability. Because if, for example, if I wasn't going to the gym and I was eating crap, I would not have the energy, I would not have the strength to play with her and carry her around and throw her in the air and catch her and go to the park with her. I would not be doing that. And she's a child, she needs that. She needs to play around and she needs to do all of these things and socialize. So in that way, because I'm not putting myself first, I'm holding her back. And because me and my husband are one, it is the same thing. Because then she sees that, like, wow, like, makes me emotional, because she's like, wow, like, my parents really love each other. Genuinely, we really love each other. And because we're one and we have to make sure that we are taken care of and that our relationship is good, we're a family. We're together all of the time. Like, I'm with her all day long. When he gets home, he's with both of us. And once in a blue moon, me and Daniel go out to eat together, like, alone. And then she's having fun with her grandma or something. I don't know why people think that because I'm saying I submit to my husband, that he controls me, that I have no say in anything that I do. Like, I can pick out my own clothes most of the time. He tells me to go ahead, buy stuff. Like, I want you to go get pedicures and manicures. And I'm like, I feel so bad spending money. So, like he's amazing. Like, he's like, if you want to go to school, I will push you to do it. If you want to do this or that. Like, one of the reasons why I started this YouTube channel, because God told me a long time ago. But he's the one that pushed me to do it, because he's like, you got this, like, I believe in you. He's like, I love seeing you take care of yourself. Like, you're going to the gym and you're eating right and you're doing your hair, and I love it. Like, I love seeing you take care of yourself. He's like that with me. Like, he's so amazing. And I'm the same way with him. Like, I'm like, I love it. You went to the gym today. I'm so proud of you. Look at you eating and drinking your water. And we take the time to, like, really open up to each other, be vulnerable, and love each other. So because we're so well taken care of, and that the mom and dad are good, our relationship is good, we're in one accord. So we're raising Salem the same way. And whenever she grows up, I'm not gonna gossip to her about her dad. Like, I'm never gonna do that, because again, I'm one with him. I'm not gonna talk bad about myself and throw myself under the bus. So why would I do that with him? I wouldn't want him to do that with me. So I'm not gonna do that with him, because like I said, we're one, right? So if Salem's going through something, I'm like, hey, Daniel, like, I think that she's going through this. Like, what do you want to do? Because we're moving the same way. Like, that thing that it's like, oh, like, mom says yes, dad says no, or dad says no and mom says yes, or whatever that is. Bruh, I do not want to have a competition with her dad about things. Like, nah. Like, we're in one mind, one accord, and everything that we're doing, we're raising our daughter the same way, to the best of our ability. So we all eat at the same time. So just because I say that I put him first, that doesn't mean that she's neglected. She is a priority. Like, your first ministry is your home, right? So if you're living by yourself, you are your first ministry. You are the priority. My first ministry is my home. So my family is the priority. My husband and my daughter are the priority before anybody else. If you have any questions about submission, or deeper questions, like, about our family dynamic or whatever it is, please let me know. And I would love to do almost like a Bible study about submission, because I think that women hear it and it's kind of scary, but that's something that I had to learn, to let God control, right? Because like I said, before we're husband and wife, he's my brother. So I'm gonna tell on him. When he's acting up, I'm like, God, look at your son. Tell your son. And he gives him a bow like he's supposed to. Same thing with me. He's like, God, go check your daughter. And we be saying that, like, I'm gonna tell Jesus on you. And he's like, okay, do it. It's so funny. Before we did this in our marriage, it wasn't horrible, you know, but it was not as good as it is now. Now it is so amazing, because he's, like, considerate in everything that he does. And because he has such a big role as being the leader, like the covering over our whole family, right? This is our family. He's like covering all of us physically and spiritually. He has to be considerate in everything that he does, and loving and honorable and gentle and all of these different things. And because he has to do all of these things, I'm gonna listen to him. Most of the time, God blesses me because of it. Like, it's amazing. a little nervous how this video is gonna do, but I pray that you really open your mind and see that there might be a different way of doing things that is better. When I'm telling you that things have not been as good as they are now, because a lot of people think that's like, oh, well, things are perfect. When you really look, and a lot of the time there's one person holding in a bunch of stuff, right? Because I was the controlling one, and he didn't open up to me about anything, so I thought everything was fine because I was fine, you know. And he was going through it, and so now I'm like a safe space for him, that he's like, wow, like she really listens to me, she trusts me when I'm guiding her, so he can trust me when he's opening up to me. But yes, until the next video.
All the Jesus, yeah, I know he saved me. Got a sword of the spirit, that's a real Jesus piece. Got that heater, ayy, that's the word of God on me. He said, come and follow me. I was in spiritual poverty, sound like Peter. Jesus is a Christ, son of